All right, TGI Friday, November 19th, 2021. Let's start with remembering Samuel Jimenez, who 3 years ago today helped stop a massacre at Mercy Hospital and paid the ultimate sacrifice, being killed in a line of duty. It was a pretty memorable day for all the bad reasons, but heroic nonetheless to charge into that scene of active gunfire and try and stop something worse from happening. So, hats off to Officer Jimenez, his family, his friends. Will never be forgotten. The portal. So, starting on Monday, apparently, it seems that the policy is going to change yet again, or the procedures. Nothing has been solidified or put in writing, not shocking to any of us, as mismanaged and incompetent as this department has proven itself to be. But it is believed that the discipline component of the direct order is going to kind of change, and you will be brought in for counseling, at which time you will be notified you are not in compliance. If you want to comply, no. Okay, great. You are going to then get stripped. If you get stripped, you won't go to another room like human resources like people have been doing. Apparently, they're going to do it right there at the spot of the counseling starting on Monday. You will then be stripped, put in a no pay status, and leave until you comply with the portal. Now, I understand they're already trying to scare people yet again. Another example of this department just telling outright lies, and exempt rank members, or even, sadly, we know of even lieutenants doing this now, trying to scare people into complying with the portal. You will be given a appointment at Internal Affairs at a later date, whether it's a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever the case may be, if you go into the no pay status to receive a direct order. There is nothing preventing you from complying with the portal after the next day, an hour later, even before you go for that internal affairs interview, theoretically speaking, if that's the way they go. They cannot tell you cannot comply with the portal and come back on the payroll until you have your direct order. That's not been the way to this point, and it's certainly not going to be a change come Monday. So if anybody tells you that, they're outright lying. You can comply with the portal at any point after not complying and going into a no pay status. It is non-disciplinary. It's disgusting that exempt rank members are still participating in this charade and this outright lie. It seems that the mayor is losing her mind that we're still not even at 80% of compliance with the portal, because the rate it's going to take well into January before they get through all the department members, with almost 2,000 left to go. That's what your union protections afford all of us, and you should enjoy them and utilize them. Do not give any statement or go to any counseling anywhere, whether in your station, your unit, or at headquarters, without an FOP representative. You are entitled to it, demand it, and do not talk to any exempt rank member or supervisor without FOP representation. They're going to tell you you're not entitled to a lawyer. It's not disciplinary. That will be correct. You are not entitled to a lawyer technically at that point, but you are entitled to FOP representation. And if you don't know where one is at, call the lodge. We'll make sure whoever's on call gets in contact and gets somebody out to represent you, no matter where you're at, no matter what time, day or night. That's what we're here for. We cannot let this department push us around continually. So I guess we'll see where that goes from there. But that's the policy supposedly come Monday. We'll see if that happens or not. I talked about the exempt rank members. Well, it seems that there is nothing else for internal affairs to do other than now start doing interviews and give statements from officers who did disobey the direct order for insubordination. And they're going to start that next week. There's no investigations of discipline or misconduct or anything else for internal affairs to do. So you can see where this is all going. This is all another continuation of harassment, intimidation, and trying to force people and scare the rest of the department into complying because they don't want to be next. It's pathetic. As such, I could tell you that this morning I went to Internal Affairs on behalf of this whole department, this whole membership, I should say, and obtained a CR number on every exempt rank member, a blanket CR number for their participation in this process of violating our contractual rights. They look, the commander there was like, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to you. You're going to get a log number. You want to squash it, you squash it. But it is going to get generated, and enough is enough. Every one of you have participated in this charade, mandating, basically, by giving an order, our members forfeit their protected rights under labor law. That is an illegal order, every way to Sunday. Furthermore, the portal concerns. These are going to be addressed come Monday morning. We're still exactly determining what path we're going to take, but we said from the beginning our concerns about the portal, the information contained therein and acquired by the city, was a major issue for us, and we wanted answers. We didn't get those answers. Our fears have kind of come to fruition here. The department, in its infinite wisdom, decided that they were going to provide vaccination lists, basically, to every unit timekeeper so they can start awarding the personal day that the city offered. So that means every unit timekeeper yesterday had access to every member within their unit and knew if they were vaccinated, which means they also knew who wasn't vaccinated to that point or didn't report to the portal. That is a HIPAA violation every way to Sunday and twice on Sunday. The city shut it down today, I'm told. I don't know, but as soon as we were made aware of it, we brought it to their attention. We're not done with that. That is a violation of law. There is going to be some people paying a price for that, and we're going to address it next week. We are aware of it. It just never stops. Murder rate, RDOs. We have arbitration dates with Ramel, and now all of a sudden the city went from we're available tomorrow for the vaccine mandate to we have no available dates all the way now until January 29th and February 8th for Ramel to hear the RDO complaints into cancellations of Eric Carter / Lori Lightfoot's policies. That's how long we're going to have to wait. I don't know if the policy will get canceled before then, but we're certainly going to address, outside of the 4 holidays in the MOU, this reoccurring pattern. Some of the stupid, ridiculous excuses this department has used about why they needed to cancel RDOs is Black Friday's coming up. It's a violent weekend all the time. The Christmas tree is going to be lit on Michigan Avenue because, this is Batman apparently, and the Joker is going to come down Michigan Avenue and shoot up Michigan Avenue. I mean, it is ridiculous with straight faces, the arguments they make on why this policy needs to go forward. It is a fraud on its face. It is nothing more than a big middle finger from the department to every member because we refuse to kiss the ring and comply and bow down to what they want. It's not changing anytime soon. I can assure you of that. We're going to continue to fight as long as we possibly need to. That's that. I'm going to give you a quick story. We are at 765 murders, according to HIPAA, right now. Total homicides. And yes, I'm giving a shout out to HIPAA. Last year at this time, we were at 735. 30 ahead of last year's pace right now. Earlier this year, we all laughed when the ghost payroller, Superintendent Brown, was talking about the decrease in the increase of the decrease. The last phone conversation I actually had with him several months ago was about that. And he tried convincing me that they are on the right track here and they are getting a handle on crime. The numbers are going to be lower. He then boasted he was so sure that crime was going to be down and the murder rate was going to be down. He wanted to bet me a steak dinner that we'd have less murders this year than last year. And then followed it up with, now remember, one less murder this year is still a win. Like he would literally plant a flag and claim a victory over one less murder this year than last year. I mean, it's disgusting. I kept that to myself till now. I dare him to challenge that conversation took place because he'd be an outright liar if he did. Those words came out of his mouth. It was disgusting. But that just goes to show you how flippant the brass is at this department. They can care less about anything but their paychecks and their pensions. They've proved it time and time again, and Superintendent Brown is no different than the rest of them. That's just where we're at. Let me talk about the Hero Fund. So if you go on the website, the homepage for the FOP has a Hero Fund. Now there's some misnomers here with this Hero Fund. The Hero Fund says it's raised over $113,000, or I think it's actually $119 now, out of the $500,000 goal. If every member just got paid a couple days ago, put in $50, that would raise the $500,000. The checks from that fund are being paid to the officers who are in a no paid status to help the financial crunch, especially during the holidays here. We are only asking right now for $50. You just got a paycheck. Put in $50 for these officers to help support this fight. They are standing up for your union protections. Whether you got the vaccine or not is not the point right now. They are trying to fight to maintain our collective bargaining rights. It says we have $119,000 raised. The reality is we wrote checks on November 1st and November 16th. There is only about $8,000 left out of that $119,000 that was originally raised. We need to continually replenish that fund because the contributions are trickling in. We need one mass donation, effort here of everybody this weekend putting in $50 into that fund so we can continue to pay $150 a day to our members who stay in a no paid status so they can keep the lights on, put food on their table for their kids, and pay some of their bills until we get this rectified. Again, it's a small ask. It's $50. It might not be you today, but next time, next issue, it will be. Next issue leads me into my last point. Monday, I walked away from this job and started retirement on Tuesday after almost 27 years to the service. It was a bittersweet moment, to say the least, but I was never, ever going to let this miserable mayor have the ability to say, I fired you. She could talk about walking away from accountability all she wants. The ridiculous testimony by Commander Pontecorn just goes to show you about where the accountability issues really lie, and it is with the brass of this police department. Commander Pontecorn admitted to having a conversation when made aware of the report against Eddie Johnson with Captain Brian McDermott of the 8th District for 15 minutes. They both determined that that report was improper and they were going to get rid of it. Pontecorn gave McDermott the order to get rid of that report, who then in turn contacted the desk sergeant the next day, who then had the PC number changed to the low man on totem pole and deleted the report from that system. That's what happened. That is a felony. Every way to Sunday. They improperly deleted reports out of the ERA system. It is everything the consent decree was supposed to be about. It was against everything that 3653 and the Justice Reform Bill in Springfield is supposed to be about, but yet nobody is batting an eye that they committed felonies. And if that wasn't bad enough, the obstruction of justice report then generated against Pontecorn, when I had found out the report had been deleted, was deleted itself by Administrative Sergeant Brian Spraney. Well, like a good boy, he was rewarded for his little, go along to get along behavior, and now is the commander of the 8th District. You can't write this up. It's as corrupt as it could possibly get, all the way to the top, shelves of this department. That's just the reality of it. The writing was on the wall. The hearing officer continued to sustain objection after objection when I would try and give context to my stories and my reasoning, why I have done the things I do and why I continue to fight for the things I believe in. It didn't matter. So at that point, the only choice was to walk away after we got Pontecorn on the record basically admitting to committing felonies where he should lose his pension. There's no way that man should be entitled to a pension. But we'll see where that all goes. But just remember, the bosses need us. We don't need them. That's one example of how corrupt this department is. You can look no farther than the portal and the processes going on. They don't give a damn about one of you. That's just the honest God's truth. So if you think they care when they come and ask you, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And you got commanders who are outright telling activity needs to be done or you're going to start getting dumped off your cars. I mean, they're putting this in emails. That's how brazen they are now. You'll get dumped off your car. You'll get broken up from your partners. That's Commander Glenn White's email from the 5th District. We got a copy of that too. I mean, it just doesn't stop. They're all being addressed and attacked, but it's incumbent upon every member to start sending a message back. You might be the boss, but we run this department. That's just the facts. All I can tell you is I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. The mayoral conversation is no longer a joke. It is real. And the thought process is very simple. The best way to affect change in this department, in this city, and in this state is to change Chicago. You change Chicago by changing the mayor. Swapping out for the next politician hasn't done us any good thus far. It's literally gotten progressively worse. Every time we think change is good, this mayor is 100 times worse than Rahm ever was. And that's a pretty bold statement, but it's the honest to God's truth. So my thought is we're going to, kind of go at it starting the beginning of the year. After this vaccine mandate is resolved at arbitration, I will set aside a couple hours a day not to violate, my oath to this office. I'll still be putting in my 60-hour work weeks here, and a couple hours a day I'll be devoting to a mayoral campaign and setting up locations and teams and start fundraising, because something has to change in this city. This isn't rocket science. This is simple black and white, right and wrong. And I could tell you, if that bid is successful, we are not going to have a shortage of lieutenants in this department, because there's going to be a lot of exempt rank members forced into retirement or demoted on day one. Enough is enough. With that being said, have a good Thanksgiving. There will be a motorcycle raffle on our website starting next week. It is for a 2002 Indian motorcycle that was used in the TV show West Wing. All the cast signed the gas tank. It was donated from an individual who had a museum on the East Coast with the explicit purpose of raising money for Carlos and CJ, his son's college tuition. So tickets will be $100. They're going to be electronic, and we'll draw it at some other point down the road. Or the goal is to try and sell 2,000 tickets at $100 a piece and raise $200,000 for Carlos. But stay tuned for that on the website. Again, donate to the Heroes Fund and back up your brothers and sisters in blue. Enough is enough. One last thing I forgot to mention in the original video was the exemptions. So we had posted a link to an EEOC download for religious exemptions. Some of you received a notice from the city talking about medications specific to stem cell research and the development of those drugs. We're advising people to write refused on there. It's none of the damn city's business about the medications that you take if they're not part of the CBA agreement. There's nothing precluding you from taking any of those. We're asking you to fill out the EEOC version. You put your religious belief in there, and you fill out the other things to the best of your ability. You don't need to go into great detail. This is all hinging on your firmly held religious belief, period. Everything else is almost secondary and fluff. And include the disclaimer that was there also. The disclaimer talks about a technical advisement memo or something to that effect. So originally the form set was 3 pages of the fill-in form, and then another 3 pages of informational kind of background to the form. We took that part out. All you have to do is fill out the 3-page form from the EEOC and send that in with the disclaimer that was also attached. Whether you got the medical follow-up for those medications and stem cell research stuff, whether you got outright denied, or whether you still haven't heard from them about the religious exemption, send in those forms ASAP. We're throwing everything at them. We expect to have that information. Well, they were supposed to have it today, but they asked for an extension till Wednesday about how many exemptions were sent in, how many were granted, how many were denied, how many are still pending, what category they fell under, religious, medical, or conscientious, and the numbers between sworn and civilian members within the department. When I have that information, we will certainly put it out. I think it's going to be pretty eye-opening. There's not a doubt in my mind they've arbitrarily pretty much denied all of these across the board. But stay tuned. I just want to clarify that because we've been getting questions about the exemptions. Again, you need to get these exemptions in. They should have been in already, but we'll go from there.